And Miss Yvette Edgecombe is celebrating 5 years of service with Magistrate Court. Again, congratulations to all of you on achieving a service milestone with Chatham County. We thank you for your service and we look forward to your continued contributions to Team Chatham. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our employees for doing a job well done, and we continue to celebrate you. We don't have any chairman's items or commissioner items. We go to our table item to repeal and replace the animal service ordinance. This item was tabled at the October 7th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the,
Got to untable it first.
oh, excuse me, to untable this item, excuse me.
Right.
Second.
Properly motion and second that the item be untabled. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Okay, now we're ready for a motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the ordinance as written, and I will hopefully get a second and like to make a statement prior or during discussion, please.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
From properly motion and second that we approve to repeal and replace the animal service ordinance. Ready for the question? All right, now you can make the statement.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, to the citizens, to staff, thank you for working on this. I just want to make sure that we put on the record that we have been engaging in this discussion for a very long time, engaging the community, engaging animal advocates, to include our county staff and the Humane Society. And with that being said, we know that there are still some things that we want to look into, mainly the discussion about outdoor sales of animals. So that is not in this ordinance, but I do want to put on record that we are committing to address that here in the near future and talk more and engage the community about it.
All right, any more comments? All right, please cast your votes. Okay. Moving on, we're going to items for individual actions. Request approval of the following budget amendments and transfers in the multiple grant fund. A, increase revenues and expenditures for the grant as indicated in attachment 1 through 7. And B, carry forth the, carry forth the FY 2022 remaining budget for grant fund as listed in attachment 7. 2, in the general funds, transfer $182,488 from the Aquatic Center temporary employment account to salaries and benefits account. B, transfer $904,000 from the detention center salary to detention center repair and maintenance operation budget. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion and second that the request be granted. Are you ready for the question? Please signify by your votes. All right. 2, to present the fiscal year 2022-2023 first quarter financial report dated September 30th, 2022 to the board for information. Calling on the manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Ms. Amy Davis, to come to the podium. Ms. Davis has some slides that she's going to review with you, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that any board member may have concerning the first quarter financials.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. We have completed the first 3 months of the year, the first quarter, and this is the results financially. In the general fund, we received revenues of $13 million and expenditures of $58.5. And in the SSD, we received $4.3 million and expended $12.5 million. To break those down, in the general fund, we actually received taxes of 17.8, and then license 100,000, intergovernmental 300,000, charges for services 2.8 million, fines and forfeitures 700,000, and that big number down below that 8.7 million, that represents unrealized losses in our investment portfolio. So that number all by itself brings our number down from the prior year of 19 million. So without that number, we would have been ahead of last year. In the SSD, we had 3.4 million in taxes received and 100,000 in license and fees. Intergovernmental was 100,000, charges for services 300,000, fines and forfeitures 1.1 million, and miscellaneous others 200,000. Sales taxes are still strong. In the first quarter, we received 29.27 million, which brings our inception to date number to 193.8 million. That represents basically 2 full years of the SPLOST 7. In lost, we received 4.4 million in the quarter and the same for year to date. Cash and investments, we had a total of 439.1 million in cash and investments, with the totals as listed below. Our cash on hand at the end of the quarter was 20 million, and we had 30 million in the Georgia Fund 1. And that concludes the
All right,
general
any questions? All right, Commissioner Whiteley, any other? All right, Commissioner Whiteley.
Thank you for that, Ms. Davis. On the unrealized losses, who didn't realize it? Was it us or was it our portfolio manager?
No, we are required to mark our investments to market, and we spent several years at earning 1-2%. Now the rates have gone up to 3 and 4%. So all that stuff that we have in there at 1% isn't worth as much as it would have.
Gotcha.
And it's unrealized because we still hold it, and we typically continue to hold it. We don't sell it at a loss if we don't have to.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Appreciate it. At this time, we'll go to our chief for our bi-monthly report.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, well, first of all, let me say thank you for all your continued support. Hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving next week and a safe, raise my voice, sorry, I'm not a yeller. But I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Won't get to see y'all next week, but hope you enjoy your family and friends and take some time for yourselves, because there's a lot of tremendous work that y'all do that many of us don't realize, the emails and phone calls and constituent outreach and whatnot. So from me to you, I appreciate all your hard work on behalf of the county, on behalf of the police department, and just wish y'all some happy holidays. Okay. We'll start off with our crime numbers. Looking over to the right represents some of our ups and downs in terms of our Part 1 crime categories. Our overall violent crime is down by 15.9%, which is always a positive trend. We have less sex crimes, less robberies than we did several years ago. We have 142 total aggravated assaults as compared to 157 last year. We had 101 in 2020 at this time. Shoplifting is up by 154 incidents, which is about a 75% increase, which really accounts for our overall increase in total crime, which is 5.9%. Moving on, this just reflects the Part 1 crimes from October 2nd to November 12th in the unincorporated county throughout on these maps. We did Halloween with Heroes. Want to thank the sheriff. He organized this event, but we had a lot of participation. E911, CNT was there. We were there. It was a great way to bring kids to a safe place to get candy. And really, it was nice to see. I always like to see the kids in their uniforms, or their costumes, whether they're little policemen or little firemen, Batman, Superman, whatever they dress up for the day. It's really, really nice. So we really appreciate staff that showed up and really enjoyed interacting with the public. Moving on, we had our pinning and promotion ceremony on November 2nd. This represents all those that were newly hired and or promoted over the last probably 6 months. Appreciate Mr. Kagler coming and saying some kind words. I think we have not only these people in the picture, but the department as a whole, some really fine quality individuals. We have had some turnover, and we'll go to some staffing numbers in the next slide, but those that have chosen to stick it out or stay, and for whatever reasons there are, it's very comforting to know that long after my time is over, that we're going to be in good hands. We got some really fine individuals that go about it the right way, that have a heart for service, and we're going to be in good shape as the years to come. Moving on, just wanted to kind of give a picture of our current staffing. We haven't gone over this in a while. We have authorized sworn positions of 160 sworn. That also represents our CNT allocation and also our Marine Patrol. Currently, we have 123 officers. That's from myself all the way down. So we have 33 vacancies for CCPD. We have 3 vacancies at CNT that we have yet to fill. And we have 1 Marine Patrol vacancy, which accounts for about a 23% vacancy rate. And talking to my colleagues around the country and some locally, we're all about right there. There's some that may be a little bit better than that, but we're working hard. We continue to recruit and try to think of innovative ideas to bring people to the table without sacrificing standards, without hedging on the quality that we want to see. I'd rather run short than hire someone that we didn't believe in and then provided an issue or problem for us as we went forward. Just some holiday crime prevention suggestions, as we enter into Christmas shopping season and folks out there doing their thing. Always lock your car. Do not leave gifts, valuables, or firearms in your vehicles. I did do an interview the other day. So far we've had our, unfortunately, worst year yet in terms of firearms stolen from vehicles. We have 86 so far this year. We had 73 all of last year. So please, please, please lock your vehicles, particularly if you have a firearm in there. Do not mail cards or bills that include checks or gift cards from your home mailbox. There has been some uptick in mail thefts, and people will take those checks and reconfigure them and cash them at a higher rate, which has obviously an impact on the citizen and the banking industry as well. Beware of porch pirates. Keep a close eye out for deliveries or have packages shipped to your office or someplace that's much safer than if you're going to be gone all day and you get a package delivered at 9 a.m. and it's sitting there all day. So just hopefully some helpful tips that citizens will take heed to and pay attention to. And last, but certainly not least, certainly we get a lot of questions on our the Quentin Simon case. We continue to search the landfill. That's our primary focus right now. And these pictures represent, to some degree, the magnitude of work. If you look at the larger photo with our officers accompanied by FBI agents, GBI agents, DNR, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, we're all out there dressed up in Tyvek suits and vests and hats and N95 masks to go out and search an extremely large and voluminous area to look for the remains of Quentin Simon, who we absolutely believe is there. So I just wanted to kind of capture a little bit, it's maybe hard to appreciate from the average everyday person, the amount of work that has gone into and will continue to go into in our effort to seek justice for Quentin. As you can see, these individuals have been out there every single day, or almost every single day during the week, putting on these suits, sifting through garbage that contains anything that any of us would throw out, and then some. And so to do that for that extended period of time, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, takes its toll. And so I just wanted for us to appreciate for the moment the dedication that all of those officers, even those that are not Chatham County Police officers, have contributed to this case because they believe in what they're doing. That's a big ask for any person to have to do that, but they have done it. Their morale has been good. They have shown up every day. They are in good spirits, and we have tried to provide them everything that they need, with your assistance, of course, and by way of food, by way of equipment, and all that they need to be successful, so we can be successful at the end of the day. So I just wanted to thank you, and also thank some other county departments, SEMA, Occupational Safety, Parks and Rec. I'm sure there's others, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, County Manager's Office. Everybody has been, what do you need? We're gonna get it done. And so I just can't thank Team Chatham enough for all of their dedication, because this is the work. This is important. It's not cheap. It's not easy, but that's the role of government. You know, I often kind of chuckle a little bit when people say we're gonna run it like a business. Sometimes government ain't a business. It's about doing the right thing, and sometimes, you know, doing the right thing has a cost to it. And we're not at the bottom line. You know, we're not spitting out a widget and hoping we make a profit at the end of the day. We're in public service, and there's a premium for that. And there's certainly a premium for that in public safety. So many thanks to y'all, and many thanks to everybody that has participated in this case, and we're gonna bring it home soon. And with that being said, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
All right. Questions? Okay, anybody else? All right, Commissioner Stone?
Chief, my heart goes out to you all and what you're trying to endure. A question that was posed to me, and I don't know the answer, is that the manpower that you have out at the landfill, is that taking away from your beats and your officers there?
Yes, it is. We've tried to grab one person from each watch, as if I could sit here and explain our watch system, but we've tried not to deplete any one watch. So we've taken, we have 4 watches on the east side, 4 watches on the west side. We've tried to take one from each watch, and some others that are not on in the patrol staffing, to complement that staffing out there.
Yeah, I was afraid that was the correct answer, but I didn't feel like I was qualified to answer it without checking with you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Milton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that report. I just know that it's really overwhelming. I've gone out to Buckhalter. Are the protesters still there?
They are not. Also, let me thank William Wright. That's one person I missed. I apologize. I don't know if William's still here. But when we made the decision in
Put the
coordination.
sign up.
Yep, with coordination with the county attorney's office to be a little more creative. When we put that signage out there, and they acted quickly, we got that done within a day. And when we can get something done in a day, well, we're doing pretty good, quite frankly. But we did it, and they were very responsive to our needs. And the minute we did that, they went somewhere else or they went home. And so we have not had a problem since then. They're still on social media, you know, talking about the case, but they have not been out there interfering with those residents that deserve a good quality of life, and had nothing to do with this. And so many thanks to the county attorney's office in Dwayne.
How much longer will you be there?
We anticipate being there till at least December 9th, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at.
Thank you. I appreciate all you do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Kicklighter.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to start out by thanking you for all you do, Chief, and I want to be clear when I state this to the public that I have not discussed that case with you whatsoever.
Nope.
And so my comments does not come from the police department. It's from sadly, a personal understanding of the system that we have in place. For the people out there that are understandably being impatient, wanting an arrest. When I was 17 years old, my 23-year-old brother was murdered. We knew pretty much instantly who did it. But there's such a difference in knowing who did it and being able to prove who did it in a court of law. It took 6 years to bring this person to trial to later be convicted of first-degree murder and given a life sentence. So be patient. Understand the lack of patience, but I think I'm a decent reader of integrity of people. I think we have the very best right here running this Chatham County Police Department, and no doubt in my mind, and again, this is not from a conversation. I don't know what they know, but if they know it, that's a major difference than actually being able to prove it in a court of law. So those of you being impatient, please give this police department a little break. They're working, doing what it's going to take to put the killer or killers behind bars forever or even to death. It's going to happen. If the killers are watching by chance, you may as well turn yourself in and get it over with, because you're going to be going to prison or you're going to be put to death. And again, just give these great, hardworking people a break, please. They're doing, justice will be served as fast as it can possibly be served within the constraints set up by the laws that they have to obey to bring it all to court. So thank you for everything you do, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate your comments.
Okay, anything? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chairman.
And
Appreciate it.
you know that you have our total, oh,
Sorry.
oh yeah, here's a comment, all right, good. Ms. Lotson? Michaela? Yeah, you gotta deal with it.
Is it okay? Firstly, I want to say thank you for your service, and also I wanted to ask. I know for some schools there are like work-based learning programs where students can take like a semester to go to a business and kind of like work there and learn about it. Have you ever considered creating a program for the police department where students can come in and like learn more about the system and potentially receive some sort of training so that by the time they graduate or become of age, they could potentially join the department or the force?
Yes, ma'am. We have considered that. We, in one budget year, we did submit for some police cadets that would be from 18 to 21 prior to being a full-time law enforcement officer. Other priorities took over for that budget year. But it is something that is extremely advantageous. Whether or not the person ended up wanting to become a police officer or not, I think the exposure to the profession, to government, and whatnot is very invaluable to someone of that age. And I would love to, if you would honor me, to sit down and discuss that with you and see. I may have an idea of what that might look like and what may be good, but I'm sure you have your own ideas, and I think that we could benefit from that conversation and maybe go from there.
Thank you, man. Mr. Manager, why don't you schedule Chief a time that he can meet with the youth commissioners? And he can have that conversation with all of them, okay?
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll put that
Thank
on
you.
the book. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
We go to our action calendar, and no one expressed anything to take off or discuss. We've got that. So may I have a motion to accept the action calendar's entirety?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that the action calendar be accepted in its entirety. Are you ready for the question? Please signify by your vote. Okay, we move on. We don't have any first readers. We now come to our second readers. Request board approval of the fiscal 50 Fifth Amendment to the Chatham County Employment Retirement Plan to reduce the vesting period for planning participation from 10 years to 5 years, and to change the age for minimum requirement distribution from age 70 and a half to age 72 in compliance with the Federal Security Act effective January 1, 2023. Plan participants must have 10 years of credited service to be eligible for retirement medical coverage upon retirement. All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion based off of the fine chief of police request a while back to implement this in order to help hire the additional police that we need running the area, and to then further be able to hire the citizens that we need to work for the county. I'll make a motion to approve this.
There's properly motion and second that the request be approved. Now, in this particular session, we must have public input, all right? So, Mr. Manager, would you get the names of any members from the public who would love to speak? Now is the time for you to come up and register with the manager. Wow.
Do we have our actuary on Zoom?
Okay,
I'm not sure.
it was supposed to. Do we have it?
Yes.
He's on Zoom? Okay. Put his name on there in case we have to go to that.
Okay.
All right. Also put the chief name on there in case we have to go to him, okay? In case someone asks for that. All right, that having been said, everyone who has wanted to speak on this has signed up?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Manager, call the first person.
We have Michael Waters. He'll be the first person to speak.
All right, Mr. Waters, when you come, please give your name and address, please.
Michael Walters, 8 Pineside Lane,
All right,
Savannah. I'm a professional actuary, past president of the Cash Actuarial Society. I moved to Savannah 20 years ago for work, and I retired here to this great city and locale. So I have an abiding interest in some financial matters, and the pension security is one of them. We've all seen problems in California with cities indeed going bankrupt. So hopefully our system is pretty well situated, but I do have some questions for the actuary, if he's available.
yeah, go ahead and ask. We get you. Go ahead and ask.
Okay,
He's on.
all right. So qualifications as a pension actuary. Are you a fellow of Society of Actuaries, 10 exams, an associate, 5, or an enrolled actuary, 2 years?
I am a fellow of the Society of Actuaries, a fellow of the Conference of Consulting Actuaries,
Okay.
a member of the American Academy of Actuaries, and an enrolled actuary.
Okay, a number of years ago, I looked at the pension system when the articulated inadequacy was about 57 million using an 8% interest rate. Things have changed since then. I understand your current investment rate assumption is 7.2%. Did you opine on that number, or did you accept management's number on that 7.2%?
I'd like to correct it. It's actually 7.25, and it was higher than that. I think it was 7.65% when our firm was appointed, and that was one of the assumptions that we recommended to be changed. And it was, and the retirement board accepted the lower earnings rate.
So are you aware of the investment rate used by CalPERS, which is the largest, second largest pension system in the U.S. at 6.8%?
Yes.
So did you opine on the 7.25 that they are using?
I recommended the 7.25. The Chatham County retirement system's in extraordinary strong health relative to the rest of the U.S. and the
back a few years ago when I looked into it, the pension system, although it was not required, gave cost of living adjustments to the retirees in Chatham. Did your review of the funding include future likely cost of living adjustments, sort of like Social Security does? Social Security, part of the reason Social Security is underfunded by about $30 trillion present value is at its outset, they never contemplated doing cost of living adjustments, which are very expensive. So in your finding of the Chatham County pension system, where you said they appear to be fully funded, did you assume that they would continue to give cost of living adjustments in the future?
No, we did not, because it's not part of the current plan of benefits. There is no automatic cost of living increase in the Chatham County Employees Retirement Plan.
That's what I understood. It's not automatic, but they've been giving them every single year. So did you all?
Again, that's not true, sir. Please,
Oh, okay,
it's
that
not
was
true.
my understanding. Okay. All right, lastly, I have a comment on, earlier you had a quarterly evaluation of the finances where you included unrealized capital losses as part of the information system. Mark to market, I think, was the reason given. I think it's generally conceded that mark to market rules basically caused the financial collapse of the entire United States financial system in 2002 and 2008. It's an interesting number. If you had to cash in everything, do you have enough cash on hand? But regulations requiring it basically caused the demise of a lot of institutions. So it's an informational number. I would suggest, in addition to using that unrealized capital gain by quarter, which is virtually not used in any private sector reporting to boards of directors, capital gains and losses are a long-term phenomenon. So to use it as the primary system, what if you had to cash everything in? How do you situate it? You ought to at least supplement with that number, excluding unrealized capital losses. That's my only comment. So, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Hearing none. All right, we're ready to call for the vote. All right. Oh, yes, let me get a motion to end the whole public hearing. I'm sorry, you're right.
Motion to end the public hearing.
Probably motion and second that we end the public hearing. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes.
I'm ready to ask some questions.
Oh, a question, okay.
Yeah.
About the public section?
No, about this second reading.
Okay, yeah, we can go to, can't we go to that after we end the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, I want to end.
Yeah, okay, let's end the public hearing. That's what we're voting on now.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, now, Commissioner, all right, any other commissioner besides, Farrell want to make a comment or ask a question? All right, Commissioner Farrell.
Thank you. At our previous meeting, I asked staff to provide me with, and the board and the public with some information about the top 10 local private sector corporations located in Chatham County and what their, if they had pension plans that were defined benefit like this one, and if so, what was the vesting period? I got a list of questions, but I'll start with that one.
Isn't that one of the questions that we went over in the small group meeting?
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask Mr. Reese to come back on and respond to that.
Yes, private sector rules are governed by Department of Labor and IRS, and the maximum vesting period is 5 years if it's cliff vesting. So no vesting for the first 4 years, and then you're fully vested after 5 years, or step vesting, where it starts at 20% vested after 2 years and increments up to 100% after 7 years. My experience is almost all private sector employers use cliff vesting.
That wasn't the question, but thanks for that background information. So let me repeat the question. In Chatham County, I asked staff, to look at the top 10 corporations that operate in this county and to let me know and let us know, do they have defined benefit plans? And if so, how many have them? And for the ones that do have defined benefit pension plans, what is their vesting period?
I have not been tasked with conducting that analysis.
Well, I tasked Chatham County staff. I didn't task you personally, so.
Okay.
We have not researched the top 10, but the ones we've looked at, as Adam indicated when we had our briefings, that most private sector firms don't have a defined benefit plan. Most of them have a defined contribution plan.
Okay, that's kind of what my assumption was, but I would rather get that information from staff than from my assumption. So we have approximately 2,000 employees, and we have probably 100,000 people working in this community, if not 150. I don't even know how many people working in this community, but maybe half of them, out of 300,000, maybe 150,000 people are working. And the top corporations do not offer a pension plan at all, is what I think I'm hearing. And, okay.
They don't offer a defined benefit plan.
Right.
A defined contribution similar to a 401k or 457, those 403b, something like that.
Which is the point I'm making here. Defined benefit plans in the business world are dinosaurs. They're not extinct. They're on life support. So, so when we compare this corporation, the Chatham County Commissioners and the Chatham County Governor, which is a large corporation, we perhaps would attract some certain folks because we have something that virtually no other employers in the private sector offer. Now, I understand that there's a lot of governments in the community, in the state, and the country that still offer defined benefits. So that's an attractant for a person to work for a local, state, or federal government, is the defined benefit. So I understand, and I'm sure this will come up, that the city of Savannah has a defined benefit plan and they vest after 5 years. Okay, so be it. I also understand that the state of Georgia has a defined benefit plan and they vest after 10 years, which is what we're modeled after currently. I've also heard that if we have less time to vest, it will improve retention. Generally, I find that counterintuitive, that if you lower the goal of retention, which is to stay here for a career or a long period of time, that you make it easier to achieve some significant portion of a check from when you retire for the remainder of your life every month, which is a great incentive to stay for 10 years, in my opinion, for anyone. So I also hear that the county police, who are short, we just saw the number, less than 40 people from what we have budgeted for positions, is interested in this. My suggestion would be that public safety being such a high priority, that we perhaps make this a pilot project for the next couple of years, put it out there and see if this is producing the results that the chief believes will happen. And if it does, and if it's deemed a good investment for retention and recruitment, then perhaps at a steady level of looking at it, that we consider expanding it to the rest of the workforce. But it just seems counterintuitive to me that this generous, very generous defined benefit program become available at a less of a service. And so I would like to either see this tabled or amended. I don't know that there's a big hurry here. This is kind of a long-term benefit. If we're looking for retention, I know most young employees that I've seen would rather have something that has a immediate payoff, such as bonuses or incentives or something of that nature. So my suggestion is to tap the brakes on this, or consider doing a pilot program with the Chatham County Police Department and see how that works for their retention, get some data on it for a couple of years, and then revisit this. This has been in ongoing at 10 years for about 10 years, and I don't see the rush.
Commissioner Stone, do you have your hand up?
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too asked the same question about other corporations within the Savannah and Chatham County area and what they do for their employees. And I didn't receive that information either. Why did we, and I remember when we did it, but what was the thought process in moving it from 5 to 10 years a few years back?
Going way back to when I was on the pension board. At that time, we had come out of the Great Recession, and we also were setting up our other post-employment benefits trust, which is retiree health care. Both of those vesting requirements were at 5%, and coming out of the recession, we felt like we probably needed to do something to make sure the pension plan was more funded better. We had a different actuary at that time. We had a lot different numbers, especially on retiree health, because we were just starting that process of funding those in a trust. So the board at that time moved to the 10 years for retiree medical, and just for administrative purposes, I think we moved the pension vesting to 10 years as well.
So what has changed? You said the actuary has changed.
Mm-hmm.
What significant change has taken place that
Okay.
would cause those numbers to shift?
Yeah, right now, we're pretty much almost fully funded in our pension plan and in the retiree health trust. So every year when we go through the budget process, we ask you all to approve the budget, which includes contributions to the pension fund and contributions to the retiree health care fund. This past year, we were able to stop contributions to the retiree health care trust because we had enough funds in there to move us forward. We didn't need additional contributions.
Well, I certainly want to do everything I can to support our police department and the chief in his efforts. But I, again, am a little confused as to why lowering the vesting keeps people there longer. And why other incentives, bonuses along the way, might not be more efficient in recruiting and keeping people to get to that 10-year period. So I'm a little bit confused about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we could, since this item was brought up initially by Chief Hadley, I could ask Chief Hadley to come to the podium and
If I may.
Before we do that, we need to go to Commissioner Kicklight.
Thank you. And Chief Hadley will be wonderful to come after my remarks because, in my opinion, our number one duty as elected officials is actually to protect the public, period. That's it. That's number one, protect the citizens of Chatham County. All right, comparing the benefits versus of a local government versus private companies, that's like comparing apples to oranges. I mean, that just should not take place, especially if you're thinking about employees of a government employee that's a police, wanting to be a policeman, fireman, EMS personnel, something of that magnitude. Because I would guess, and I've been there with a wife before, a lot of times people will take a career and go into a certain career field and take less money because they know they are getting better benefits. And that's called government. That's the incentive to get someone that's highly educated to jump into the government versus jumping into the private sector where they know they can make more money. At least they know they're going to be taken care of in the end after years of hard work. And we're talking here $100,000 more a year to implement this. At first, the request of our police chief, who's running 35 officers short, as he stated earlier. We can't even get people to drive buses nowadays. Can't get people to hardly do anything. And this is the same body, mind you, that I was here, I didn't vote for it, that voted for and bought a $100,000 door to a swimming pool. And if we can provide incentive for that same amount, for people to come work here and stay here, protect us all better, this is a no-brainer. We're not talking a $2 million a year or $10 million a year request. We're talking $100,000 and a $500 million budget, basically. We're talking a drop in the bucket to help bring our staff up to full speed. It's a no-brainer. It's just, no, I'm about to get mean.
No, don't get it.
We do not need to, we don't need to push this back. This is what we need to do for our chief, for our citizens living here in Chatham County. Don't let $100,000 when we've spent that on one door. Please don't let that stop us from having a fully staffed police department and fully staffed, jobs throughout the county. Again, I know this is not going to be the magic cure that we pass this and boom, he's at 100%, but it will be an additional tool for him to sell the police department because when comparing, he has to compare himself to the other agencies around. Right. And if they're offering better benefits to be a police in another area, that's where they're going to go. So we've got to stay competitive. We've got the best chief, but he needs to be able to offer the best retirement plans and the best of everything else. And thank y'all, and I think we should just vote this thing on through.
All right, well, let me get all the Commissioner Lockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, again. 10 years ago, we lived in a different world than what we live in now. The time changed, things change. We need to put ourselves in a position so we can recruit not only good policemen and more policemen, but also employees for the county. My statement is the same as Commissioner Kicklighter. We need to go ahead and get this done, get it over with so we can move forward. Thank you.
All right, any more unreadness from, all right, Commissioner Whiteman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, colleagues, for your input. And with that, I fully support what Chief is asking. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, please, Mr. Manager. Chief asked this in February?
Yes, sir.
I learned about it the other day. And that's the problem for me. That's all I have to say.
All right, let's make sure we can clear up his, what his problem is. He said, Chief asked for it in February, but we had to carry through the process of getting what it takes from the actuaries and looking at what the finances was and all those things in motion, right?
Yes, sir. He approached the pension board in February and made that request. The pension board voted to look at it. We sent it over to the actuary. He gave some additional information, and it's coming before the board now.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, but I'll give another example, right? So it was a time where there was a mention of a need for project management in 2021, and that needed to go through the process and get carried out and so on and so forth. But we still talked about it. I'm not saying we made any decisions. And so my thing is, considering that we as a board are responsible of making decisions for the multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars and the multiple hundreds of thousands of citizens of Chatham County. Transparency is a two-way street, and our engagement is a key thing too. And so the point I was trying to make is that I was frustrated, I am frustrated, that I didn't know Chief was looking for this until the other day. And it, you know, with all due respect to the Chief, this has nothing to do with the Chief. I respect and support making sure that Chief, we fill those positions, as well as the other department heads. We got the positions to fill. I get it, and please let that be known. But when it's all said and done, and we look back in hindsight, we're gonna see that this stinks, and it smells like TikTok.
But also understand too, that this had to go to the pension board before it could come to the county commission, all right? So during that time, the pension board asked that those I's and T's be dotted before it could be presented to the county commissioner. And that's the process by which it went through. All right, anything else from commissioners?
Yeah, I got one follow-up. I'm not sure if staff can answer this or not, but it's my understanding that the city of Savannah has a 5-year vesting period, and Chatham Area Transit has a 5-year vesting period for a defined benefit, which is very, very good, generous for their employees. So my follow-up question is, I thought I just heard we cut back services at Chatham Area Transit because we had lack of employees and didn't have enough people recruiting. So when I hear that this is the magic bullet that's gonna flood everybody into the police department and into all our departments, how's Savannah doing on their recruitment? Are they down anybody? Are they fully staffed in all their positions? If CAT's not, I have doubts that a 5-year vesting period is going to have the predicted outcomes that some seem to think are going to happen.
I'm not sure, I can't speak to Chatham Area Transit on their 5-year vest. I think they do have a 5-year, I'm not 100% certain. I do know the city of Savannah, they still have their 5-year vest. They have 5-year vesting for regular employees, but in order to have retiree medical, I understand that it's 10 years, just like we have, Chairman.
But my point is, should we change from 10 to 5? Is that going to produce this herd of folks coming to the Human Resources Office looking for a job? Is this gonna make a substantial difference? And, you know, for instance, if an employee was making $100,000 and decided to only work 8 years with a 2% a year vesting, that'd be 16% of his income or her income for the rest of his life. That's $16,000. You work here 8 years if you were making $100,000, and then you go work for the city of Savannah or this one or that one, or move up to Pooler or wherever, and you could accumulate several of these. So it might actually have a result that wouldn't be as advantageous to the running of Chatham County, in that, you know, somewhere between 5 and 10 years you could leave. And of course, if you made twice that, it would be like $32,000 a year but that's only, if it was 2 people, that'd be 32,000 a year. And if it was 10 people, well, that'd be $320,000 a year, which is a whole lot more than 90,000 or whatever's here. So I'm not the expert in doing math, but, you know, if you had unintended consequences, which no one seems to be too concerned about, that number could change drastically if there was a lot of people at 6, 7, 8, 9 years just say, hey, I want to go to another place and pick up another one of these. So I just, as an incentive, I just have my reservations that this is what's gonna produce the results, and it would be that inexpensive.
All right, Commissioner Kickley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, I want to put this in plain layman's terms. All right, it's not the smoking gun, it's not the do-all, be-all, it's not going to just fill up the police department. But to really put it in simple terms, let's say we're kids. We can go to the same identical party under the same type tent. Garden City's throwing one, Pooler's throwing one, Savannah's throwing one, and Chatham County's throwing one. We're kids. To get into the party, and inside this tent's the exact music, everything's identical. But we can go, and we've got to give Chatham County 10 pieces of our candy to get into the party. Every other place is charging 5. They're gonna go to the others. So when we're talking police departments, other government agencies doing the identical job, this is not a major advantage. This brings us back from a major disadvantage. So no, sir, it's not going to be the do-all of help. It puts us on even level playing ground. That's all the chief needs. He does a hell of a job for Chatham County. I think we do good funding him. But for whatever reason on this little bickering back and forth on this, I call for the question, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the question has been called for. All right, that means we have to cut off.
I would have liked to have made a comment.
Well, the question has been called for. I got to go by proper procedure.
And we're
All right?
missing a commissioner.
And so the question is, we are now at the point of voting. That's what's next. All those in favor of passing the recommendation, please cast your vote. All those who are not in favor, please cast your votes.
Where's,
All right, the motion passed. Okay? It passes. All right, let's go now to information, Mr. Manager.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At your seat, we have a list of items that's from the Parks and Recreation Department, and then one on the Coastal Georgia Marsh Mitigation Initiative for your information. And we're also, at this time, want to give you an update on the our fire fee collection process, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kramer, and she's going to walk you through staff's our progress on that, and we also have some additional information to send out to you also. Ms. Kramer?
Okay, this was a late add to your packet,
Right.
by the way, but it is in there now. So we've been getting a lot of calls, getting a lot of emails about fire fee billings that have gone out. Chatham County has contracted with a company called LifeQuest, and they are the ones who are mailing and collecting the fire fees for us, because we do not have a billing system that can accommodate this. And as you know, the tax commissioner declined to put it on the property tax bills. So we have contracted with LifeQuest. They are based in Wisconsin. That has created some confusion among our local constituency, who I'm kind of proud of them. They're very concerned about scams. So I think it's good that they're being hesitant on this. But it is a valid invoice. It says Chatham County on it, but the mailing address for the fee is Wisconsin. So if any of you folks, any of your constituents have concerns about that, it is not